Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching from, and very, very warm greetings to Clear Minds and Self Healing. My name is Asa, and I share content on this channel every Saturday morning. Now, I share human sciences reflection topics so that we can use the positive and the negative stories to grow. And we use everyday practical things and issues in our reflection so that we can really make that message real and relevant to us. Last week, we talked about phase one of our healing from trauma process, and we titled it How to Heal a Broken Heart. But really, it's about whether your heart is broken by the loss of a family member or the loss of a relationship, a child, whatever it is, they break our hearts. And how do we heal? Phase one, you turn off the tap. Because when you're sinking in anger, in bitterness, in those overflow of emotions or denial, you're not able to really position yourself in a place of healing. And so today in phase two of the video, we are going to be looking at how you go from that broken place to that place of strength. How do you go from the victim to the driver of your healing? How do you position yourself as the healer? Because that's what this channel is about. You reflect so that you can create a clear awareness of what you're sitting in with the purpose of seeking self-healing. And today, with a trauma topic, you're the self-healer. How do you do that? How does the broken person who is lying there struggling, effortless, get themselves to that position of strength and motivation where they champion their own healing? Because today I want to tell you that you're the driver in your healing process. And if you haven't already realized that, that's the reason why you're still struggling. And so the questions we're going to be answering are you a licensed driver? And by license, it's your understanding of that situation that you're sitting in. Whether it's grief or breakup or any other thing, rape, you need to investigate the impact, message, knowledge. Because when the pandemic hit, we were all panicking, we were all ignorant, we were frightened. But the more information we got around it, the more control we had around what can be expected and what can be used for prevention, the more power or ability we had to navigate it. And this is what this session is about. So with you as the driver, your clear navigation system, your clear support system in the passengers that you've put into your car, and everything that you're using for that awareness and to create an alternative perspective so that you can start to see the light at the end of the tunnel in your situation. And for us to really do this effectively, I want us to look at the 5 stages of grief. And as much as they are titled grief, they can really be relevant in any crisis or traumatic situation that you're dealing with. So when a crisis hits, the first thing that we deal with is denial. Let's think about the pandemic again for a minute. The first rumors about this random disease that was killing people in dozens was laughable at the beginning. It's like, yeah, right. This is more of your politics. You're just trying to get our details so that you can control us. You want to be able to tell where we are. Your pharmaceutical company is trying to sell medication. We used all the possible explanations that we could to dismiss this horrific news that we had just heard. And that's our denial stage. And then week after week, month after month, as the sinking death toll was increasing, as everything was piling up, and we were really starting to see the enormity of what is shaking the world, we went into the second stage, which is anger. Anger at the Chinese, the scientists, and the propaganda, and everything in the world, people waking up sleeping lions, people being oppressive, and the anger stage can be at the world, it can be at God for letting this happen to humanity, it can be at spouses for doing things wrong, it can be at yourself for failing to do certain things to prevent certain things that could have been prevented, in your opinion, as far as that trauma is concerned. And then when we are done circling in that anger stage, we go into bargaining. You go down on your knees and you pray to God. You're like, if you just give me one more chance, Lord, I will do everything. I will be better. I will serve humanity. If you could only go back and unsay those words. If I only had that baby with them, maybe they'll not leave me. Someone has announced the end of the relationship and you're spiraling. You're like, okay, maybe if I given them that money that they wanted for their business, they wouldn't be leaving me. So now here you go. There is the money. Let's have 2 more children. I know I only wanted 1, but there you go. Let's have another baby. Oh, I'm going to move in. Let's get married now. I know I wanted to wait. I know I wanted to see more respect and more accountability from you, but hell, let's get married now. You drop all your boundaries, you overcompromise, you give and you give and you give in the aim of rescuing the situation. And then when you find that all the giving and all the compromising and even more thinking has failed to address that situation, because let's face it, it was never really about the money or your availability. But now you've quit your job, you're now home, here I am, I'm all yours, and it still didn't fix the problem. And so you quickly sink to stage 4, which is depression, because it's overwhelming. You're half really starting to accept the fact that it is real. And by this stage of depression, you've clearly, in most cases, pushed away your support system. Because if you think about it, the denial and anger stages are those stages where we blame family, those loved ones who dare to come to us and give us warning about our drug issue, about the abuse that we are enduring, about how we are spiraling in whatever it is that is creating that crisis, about the fact that we need to seek healing and counseling for that vicious attack. We'll be like, no, I'm handling this. You're just giving me more stress. You're giving me more pressure. Leave me alone. They are great to me. They are not cheating. They love me. You're all haters. And in those 2 first stages, you're sinking all your support away and you're going into isolation. You're pushing yourself further into those things and those people that you're getting warnings about. And so when that stage of depression comes, your regret and self-blame is enormous, because you're now thinking, oh, maybe I could have prevented it, or look how much lower I have sunk. I've given everything and it still didn't fix the situation. There's also that slight realization starting to come to terms to the fact that they really did do that thing to you. That this is your new life now. This handicap that the trauma has presented is your new reality. You're still sitting there figuring out, how am I going to have a life without Lex, without a partner, without Mr. So, without Mrs. So, without the child that I have lost, without my grandma, without the company that has been stolen from me. How am I going to continue in this new or absent identity? And the stage of depression can be really overwhelming, because you are struggling to see the positives that you can hang on. Your identity is drifting. Your support is not there. The ones that love you are now questioning your loyalty. And you can either spiral in that stage or go over to acceptance, which is how you start to craft a new identity. You start to see that this is really true. It has happened. They are not coming back. This relationship is ended. My child is dead. My partner is gone. My company is lost. And how can I find an alternative perspective? How can I learn to live irrespective of all of this gloom and doom that has happened to me? So the important thing to note here is that people go through these stages differently and in different orders. Some people can stay weeks or years in one stage and run through the other stages. And the important information that we're trying to put through this phase 2 is that coming to that acceptance, that's your point of awareness. And this is where reflection, perspective, and awareness come in. Because once you're at the point of acceptance, you're ready for healing. And in reference to our first video, denial is where healing cannot happen. That's your tap that you need to turn on. Anger, there's no room for healing. Bargaining, there's no room for healing because you still think that it's a lie. It hasn't happened. I can rescue it. So your energy, your effort, and your momentum is geared towards the contrary direction of healing. And this is why phase 1 was turning off the tap, dealing with your anger, treating your depression, coming to that stage of realization and acceptance, because that's where you can start to ask, how can I get out of this hole? You're accepting that you're at a bottom place. And so the only way family can really help you is to help you navigate those stages at your own pace. Because we've all heard those stories where families come for intervention, the momentum, the mirror of reflection in your face to help you see the danger of your partner, to help you see what drugs is doing to you. It doesn't help. It doesn't work because denial puts that person almost at an unconscious state of an alternate reality that is different from all the songs that you're singing to them. So your job is to facilitate acceptance by creating normal. Because if you think about it, they are now acting abnormal. Their general sense of normality and intelligence has been altered by their mind trying to protect them from that horrific thing that has happened. So reasoning does not work. Challenging, imposing does not work. So your role as a loved one, a partner, or even a frontline worker is to hasten them through that process to a point of acceptance. And sometimes it's easier things like simple routines, getting them to the same things that you generally do with them. So remember, you're trying to get them out of an alternate state of consciousness. So it's simpler than you think. Or let's cook something that we always enjoyed. Let's go somewhere that we always went. And then you find that those memories and those routines can slightly build back their sense of normal and realization, or trigger memories of things that happened in previous dates when you did those things. But screaming and dictating and reminding of all the things that have happened to them are not working, because the mind is going to sink further into abstract. Because remember, they are trying to protect you. The mind is taking you out of that situation so that you can feel safe, so that you can stop dealing in it. And so until you get to a point where you're back in that place and reflecting on it, only then can we go into phase 3 of our healing, which is actually the practical methods that you can use for healing. How do you heal? Now that you're at a point of awareness and readiness, what do I need to do? So I hope you've enjoyed this. Please share this content. The whole reason why I'm doing this is because we need these things in our lives. And sometimes it's that simple message that you send to somebody that breaks them out of that place where they've been sitting, that protection. And so if it sits alone with me, it doesn't help humanity the way that I really want it to work. So if you're new to the channel, subscribe and join us and help us spread this message to the world. And above all, come back and join us for phase 3 of practical healing. Thank you so much.